1970s, early petty crimes and fraud. From hippos running wild in Colombia to a passenger jet blown out of the sky. This is the story of every crime Pablo Escobar ever committed. A tale of power, blood, and fear. A story where myth and terror collided. And a reminder that one man reshaped a nation with violence. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. Born in 1949 in Rio Negro, Colombia. Raised in Medellín, the city he would one day dominate. Escobar rose from petty street hustler to global drug lord. By the mid-1980s, his Medellín cartel controlled 80% of the world's cocaine. His wealth placed him among the richest men alive. But every dollar was soaked in blood. Escobar's life was marked by two extremes. He gave houses to the poor and bombs to the city. He built soccer fields for children and ordered assassinations of politicians. This video will walk through his crimes in order. From the bizarre to the catastrophic. From the hippos he smuggled in for his zoo to the jetliner he destroyed in midair. Every act. Every death. Every scar. These are the stories most people never hear. Crimes that shaped Escobar's rise. And crimes that still echo today. Wildlife smuggling and exotic zoo. Hacienda Napoles was Escobar's crown jewel. A sprawling estate outside Medellín. Not just a mansion, but a theme park. Escobar filled it with replicas of dinosaurs, luxury cars, and even a bullring. But the strangest addition was his private zoo. He smuggled animals into Colombia illegally. Hippos, elephants, giraffes, ostriches, exotic birds. This was not a zoo for tourists. It was a symbol of dominance. A message, I am above the law. Customs officers turned a blind eye. Officials stayed silent. When Escobar was killed in 1993, the government seized the property. Most animals were relocated. But the hippos remained. Too big, too difficult to move. They escaped into nearby rivers. Today, those hippos roam wild across Colombia. Their numbers have exploded to more than 150. They damage crops. They threaten local communities. Scientists warn of ecological disaster. All from Escobar's vanity project. The hippos are a living crime scene. A surreal legacy of a drug lord who wanted a private African savanna in South America. Money laundering through soccer and real estate. Escobar loved soccer. But soccer was also the perfect cover. In Medellín, he poured cartel cash into local clubs. Atlético Nacional, Envigado Football Club, neighborhood teams. Players were bought. Stadiums improved. Trophies lifted. On the surface, Escobar was a patron of Colombian sport. In truth, he was laundering billions. Ticket sales, sponsorships, construction contracts, all washed dirty cash. It gave him legitimacy. It gave him loyal crowds who cheered his name. The money also flowed into real estate. Apartment blocks. Commercial centers. Entire neighborhoods. To this day, Medellín has buildings financed with narco dollars. Some residents still call them the houses that cocaine built. Escobar blurred the line between community hero and criminal mastermind. Soccer and construction made him appear generous. But beneath the surface, it was all business. The laundering machine of a global cartel. Fraud and corruption in politics. Escobar's empire did not begin with cocaine. It began with petty crime. As a teenager, he stole gravestones, polished them, and resold them. He moved on to car theft. He sold contraband cigarettes. He even ran fake lottery schemes. By the 1970s, he discovered the real key, politics. He bribed local officials. He funded campaigns. He paid police officers to look the other way. Escobar bought influence long before he bought jets. His first brush with national power came in 1982. He was elected as an alternate member of the Colombian Congress. For a moment, the drug lord wore a suit and entered politics. But his past crimes caught up. Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara exposed him. Escobar's reputation collapsed. His congressional seat was revoked. But he had learned a lesson. Politics was fragile. Money and bullets could reshape it. That knowledge would define his war against the Colombian state.
1980s Robin Hood. Projects in Medellín. Escobar understood image. To the poor of Medellín he wanted to be a hero. He built 450 houses in a neighborhood that still bears his name, Barrio Pablo Escobar. He constructed soccer fields and handed out school supplies. He hosted massive street festivals with music, food, and fireworks. Residents adored him. Children ran to greet him. They saw a man who gave them dignity when the state ignored them. They called him Don Pablo. But this loyalty came with a price. The same man who handed out Christmas gifts also ordered assassinations. The same man who built clinics also planted car bombs. By cultivating a Robin Hood image, Escobar bought protection. Locals warned him of police raids. Sicarios, many of them teenagers from poor barrios, became his foot soldiers. They would kill for him without hesitation. Robin Hood and terrorist. Savior and butcher. Two faces of the same man. These early crimes built Escobar's empire. A zoo with roaming hippos. Soccer clubs washed in cocaine cash. Corrupt politicians bought with bribes. Neighborhoods built with drug money. Each act strengthened his grip. Each act blurred the line between generosity and violence. But soon, Escobar moved beyond vanity projects and petty politics. The world would come to know him not for hippos but for blood. The next stage of his crimes would plunge Colombia into chaos. Assassinations, kidnappings, cocaine routes that stretched across oceans, and a culture of hired killers that made Medellín one of the most dangerous cities on earth. 1982, Political ambitions. Escobar silenced his critics with bullets. One of his earliest and most shocking murders came in 1984. Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla had exposed Escobar's political career. He revealed the drug money behind Escobar's congressional seat. Lara vowed to fight the cartels. On April 30, 1984, Lara was driving in Bogotá. Gunmen on motorcycles pulled alongside. They opened fire. Lara was killed instantly. His death sent shockwaves through Colombia. The government declared war on the Medellín cartel. Escobar responded with more blood. Judges investigating cartel cases were executed. Journalists who reported on his empire were hunted. Entire newsrooms lived in fear. Magistrates, candidates, even presidential hopefuls, all became targets. Escobar's message was simple: oppose me and you will die. Colombia's democracy bled under his campaign of terror. 1990, kidnapping of Diana to be. Murder was not Escobar's only weapon. He also used kidnapping. Hostages became bargaining chips. In 1981, guerrillas kidnapped Marta Ochoa, sister of a cartel partner. Escobar responded by creating MAS, Muerte a Secuestradores, death to kidnappers. This paramilitary group hunted guerrillas and killed them. But Escobar also adopted kidnapping for his own ends. He targeted politicians, journalists, and their families. The goal was pressure. Pressure to change laws. Pressure to block extradition treaties with the United States. Pressure to force negotiations. One of the most tragic cases was journalist Diana Tibí. She was kidnapped in 1990, part of a group seized on Escobar's orders. She died months later during a failed rescue raid. Her death stunned Colombia. It showed Escobar's willingness to kill innocents for leverage. By turning hostages into weapons, Escobar deepened the nation's fear. No one felt safe. Not the powerful. Not the press. Not even their children. 1980s, cocaine smuggling innovations. Escobar was not only violent. He was inventive. His cartel revolutionized drug trafficking. Planes carried cocaine hidden in secret compartments. Boats and trucks were packed with false walls. Submarines smuggled shipments beneath the waves. Coffins carried drugs across borders. Furniture and appliances were hollowed out. Even animals were used as cover. Each new method confused customs officers. Each trick pushed more cocaine north. At the height of his power, Escobar's cartel supplied 80% of the cocaine entering the United States. Demand was insatiable. Profits soared. Escobar built clandestine airstrips in the Colombian jungle. He had fleets of planes flying nonstop to Florida, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Pilots were paid fortunes for each run. Some flights even dropped drugs by parachute. This global pipeline made Escobar a billionaire. By the mid-1980s, Forbes listed him among the richest men on earth. He earned an estimated $70 million a day. But the innovation came with cost. Every route required bribes. Every bribe demanded protection. Every rival or official who resisted was eliminated. Cocaine built Escobar's empire. Cocaine also financed his war. 1983 to 1984 creation of the sicario culture. Perhaps Escobar's darkest legacy was the sicario culture. He recruited poor teenagers from Medellin's barrios. He offered money, motorcycles, and power. He gave them guns. He gave them targets. He promised respect in neighborhoods where poverty was crushing. For every police officer killed, he paid $1,000. For every rival executed, he paid more. Young men lined up to serve. Children became contract killers. Escobar turned an entire generation into assassins. Motorcycle drive-bys became routine. Judges were shot in daylight. Police officers gunned down in the street. Politicians killed on stage. The sicario culture reshaped Medellín. It created neighborhoods where violence was normal. It normalized teenage death. Families lost sons not to disease but to Escobar's payroll. Plata o plomo, silver or lead, summed up his rule. Accept the bribe or take the bullet. Officials who resisted were murdered. Officials who accepted became accomplices. This system of fear gave Escobar control far beyond Medellín. It reached Bogotá. It reached the presidency. It reached the very fabric of Colombian society. By the late 1980s, Escobar's violence reached a new level. He no longer targeted just rivals or politicians. He targeted the Colombian state itself. His war would kill thousands. His attacks would shock the entire world. Avianca Flight 203, 1989. November 27, 1989. Avianca Flight 203 took off from Bogotá, bound for Cali. On board were 107 passengers and crew. Minutes after takeoff, a bomb detonated. The aircraft exploded in midair. Everyone on board died. 3 more were killed on the ground. Escobar had ordered the attack. His intended target was Cesar Gaviria, a rising presidential candidate. Escobar believed Gaviria would support extradition to the United States. But Gaviria was not on the flight. The bomb killed innocents instead. The world reacted with outrage. The US and Colombia intensified their war on drugs. The bombing showed Escobar's willingness to kill civilians by the hundreds. It marked a turning point. He was no longer just a cartel leader. He was now a terrorist. DS building bombing, 1989. 9 days after Avianca, Escobar struck again. This time his target was the Administrative Department of Security, or DIS, Colombia's intelligence headquarters in Bogotá. On December 6, 1989, a truck loaded with 1,100 pounds of dynamite exploded outside the building. The blast destroyed surrounding blocks. Killed 52 people. It injured more than 600. The attack was one of the deadliest in Latin American history. It was Escobar's message to the government. I will not be extradited. I will destroy you first. The DIS bombing deepened the nation's trauma. It made clear that Escobar would use terrorism to get what he wanted. Colombia had entered a war it could not ignore. Murder of Luis Carlos Golán, 1989. 3 months before the DIS bombing, Escobar had already struck at the heart of Colombian democracy. Luis Carlos Golán was a presidential candidate. He was charismatic, reformist, and strongly opposed to narcos. He was also the favorite to win. On August 18, 1989, Golán attended a campaign rally in Socha, near Bogotá. As he addressed the crowd, gunmen opened fire. Golán was shot multiple times. He was rushed to the hospital, but he died within minutes. The assassination devastated the nation. For many Colombians, Golán represented hope. His murder confirmed Escobar's control over politics. The drug lord had eliminated the country's most promising leader. Colombia mourned. And Escobar tightened his grip. 1989 to 1993, police killings in Medellín. Escobar's war targeted police most brutally. He announced bounties. $1,000 for every officer killed. It was more than a year's salary for many poor Colombians. Teenage sicarios rode motorcycles through Medellín. They ambushed patrol cars. They gunned down officers in front of families. Stations were attacked with grenades and rifles. Between 1989 and 1993, more than 600 police officers were murdered in Medellín alone. Entire neighborhoods became war zones. Families of officers fled the city. For police, wearing the uniform was a death sentence. Escobar's bounty system turned Medellín into a battlefield. It proved his power to command death with cash. And it deepened Colombia's descent into terror. 1980s, early 1990s, the cocaine empire. Behind the bombings and assassinations stood Escobar's true engine, cocaine. By the mid-1980s, the Medellín cartel controlled 80% of the global cocaine trade. Escobar oversaw vast coca plantations. Factories in the jungle processed tons of paste. Aircraft, ships and submarines transported product worldwide. Miami became a hub of narco-money and violence. The profits were staggering. Escobar earned an estimated $70 million per day. Forbes listed him among the richest men alive. His net worth was believed to exceed $25 billion. The money was so vast that much of it rotted. Escobar stored cash in barns and fields. He lost millions to mold and rats. His cartel also spent thousands each month on rubber bands to bundle bills. The cocaine empire funded everything. The neighborhoods. The assassinations. The bombs. Without cocaine there was no Escobar. With cocaine he nearly brought down a nation. From smuggling hippos to assassinating presidents. From neighborhood soccer fields to international terrorism. Pablo Escobar left scars that Colombia still carries today. His crimes changed ecosystems. They corrupted politics. They shattered families. They killed thousands. Escobar died in 1993 on a Medellín rooftop. But his shadow remains. The hippos still roam. The neighborhoods he built still stand. The memories of bombings and assassinations still haunt Colombia. Which crime shocked you most? The hippos that never left? Or the plane that never landed? Let us know in the comments. And subscribe to our channel for more videos. See you in the next one.